What's up, Hedgehog Maniacs and Doki Fanatics? Zodiac17 here, back with more Doki Doki Love and Literature, which is a mod for Doki Doki Literature Club. The last time you guys saw me play this, MC went over to Sayuri's house, and they hung out together like they used to. But MC also found out about Sayuri's depression and everything. Of course, we all know about Sayuri's depression when we first play the main game, but it seems like that revelation, we just keep replaying that revelation over and over in our heads. Well, that's just my opinion, but I'm sure it ponders your mind as well. Yeah, I gotta stop talking about that, but I just hope Sayuri doesn't, you know, at the end of this mod. I mean, I know it's a Natsuki mod, but I am concerned for Sayuri a little bit. It's time to dive in, and let's do it to it. Here we go. Chapter 9. Yuri. 11:02 a.m. I wake up in the morning and I wonder, why is everything the same as it was? I can't understand. No, I can't understand how life goes on the way it does. My eyes still squint half shut. I grasp out to the wall and yank the radio plug out of its socket. I reach out from my phone and the screen flickered to the home screen. A few minutes past 11 a.m. I gradually propped myself up on my bed and took a moment to stretch. Streams of sunlight were dashed across the blue-black late morning sky, streaks of pink-orange coating the clouds. I rubbed away the rocks built up in my eyes, feeling the streams of dry tears on my cheeks. I tossed my wad of blankets off and stood up and walked over to the bathroom. I had spent just about most of the night thinking over what Sayuri had revealed to me. Like I said, it feels like that revelation doesn't get easier each time. Anyway. I'm man enough to admit that I cried. The full shock and weight of her revelation bearing down on me like a pile of bricks. I sat motionless at my desk thinking over all our experiences together. How it all seemed so innocent and lax back then, now tainted with the fact that Sayuri was struggling inside and trying to keep herself happy so I wouldn't be displeased. So I wouldn't be displeased. I finished up in the bathroom and stepped back into my room, stripping off my night wardrobe. I slipped into a pair of black sweatpants and a navy blue t-shirt with the school's logo adorning it, affording forward with a yellow circular border. I put my phone on top of my drawer and stepped into my dimly lit hallway. Once I was done feeling sorry for myself, I start to think about life from here on out. How much should I hang out with her that doesn't feel forceful to her? When we, or she, going to reveal her sickness to the club, to her parents? Do her parents even know about any of this? Or is she keeping it a secret from them as well? I can understand not telling the club, but, like, they are her parents. It's different. I walked down into the living room. I had kept the lights off and most of the electronics unplugged to conserve power, a habit I picked up from my father. I started to place around and replug the ones I was going to use. I know she had told me not to tell anyone in the club about this, but still. It doesn't feel like the best way to do things. I know for the fact that we would be 100% supportive and understanding about this. They would be there to help her and be just as concerned, if not more, about her than I am. But I had to respect her wishes and do things at her own pace, however fast or slow they may be. I walked into the kitchen and flicked on the light. I opened the fridge and reached for a box of pancake batter, setting it on the counter. I pulled out the other stuff I need syrup, strawberries, whipped cream, or as Stewie likes to say, Cool Whip. I know it didn't say Cool Whip, but I think I get the Family Guy reference in. Cool Whip. Maybe even a little chocolate shaving. Maybe even little chocolate shavings for a little kick. Extra kick, rather. Should I call her today? Try to make plans again? Would she like that? Or would I be putting her through more unnecessary pain, trying to keep up her false happiness act? But she doesn't have to anymore, right? I know now. I know she doesn't enjoy putting me through her mopiness, even though that's never been the case. Or she tries to, but she usually can't. I dug out a pan from the pantry and turned on the stove. On the oven, sorry. A circle of blue pilot lights bloomed. While I warmed up, I started making the pancake batter. I reached for a batter whisker. I still can't believe all this. I mean, I believe it, but how can I have never known? What kind of person am I? Of course, in the late retrospective, it all seems so obvious, but I just feel so evil, so twisted and vile. Is this right? Should I feel this way? Am I really her friend? I poured a generous serving of pancake batter into the pan, which immediately began to bubble and pop from the heat. I stood there for a moment, listening to the batter begin to fry. The heat drifted across my face, brushing my eyes. I could hear the hum of the stove, the smell of sweet pancakes wafting into my nose. Of course I am. Don't be stupid. I've always been her best friend, and she's always been mine. This is just a hiccup. Yeah. All friendships and relationships have their hiccups, their bumps, their issues. And they always, well, more often than not, get resolved and the relationship is happier and stronger as a result. This is just a hiccup, that's all. We will get past this together. I reached up the cupboard and pulled out a glass and plate. I poured myself a light glass of orange juice and dug into another drawer for a pair of utensils. Let's see what's on, I thought, taking a spot on the dining table. I snatched up the small gray remote and turned on power. The TV flickered and a cartoon show looked kinda dated popped up. I started scrolling through the channels. You know, I love my parents to death. They're the best people I know. But in a weird sort of way, it's oddly liberating for them to not be here, even if it's for a few days. The taste of freedom, the eventual freedom I get when I go to university and likely move into a dorm or apartment on my own. To brush against being independent, being your own person, being able to make your own decisions without having to double check first or ask for permission and stuff. I kept flickering through the channels. Weather reports, local news reports, some shortly midday TV dramas, nature shows, more kid-level cartoons. Is there anything good to watch these days? I switched over to a national-level news station. On the screen, footage of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, with his short, slick black hair and pudgy face, huddled with a group that looked like his military advisors oversee one of his army centers. That's a little concerning right now with that text, but Anyway. In an opposite screen, a female Japanese UN ambassador with flowing brown hair and gorgeous emerald eyes were talking. Wait. Is that Monica? Emerald eyes mean... I'm sorry, but that made me think of Monica for some reason. Anyway. The headlines discussing new sanctions placed on the little isolated hermit nation. Sorry. I set the remote down and started to eat. That'll have to do. I tried to stay focused on the news report, considering the way things were going with Jim Hung and the new US president, who would just be a little interested in these talks. But my thoughts still rolled back to Sayuri. I glanced down at my plate of half-eaten pancakes, the syrup already soaking into them was slightly firm mush. Maybe I should go bring her some. No harm in that, right? Just give her some breakfast. I still have some batter left. I mulled the thought over for a moment. I played with one of the pancakes with my fork. No, what an awful idea. These pancakes are kinda crappy anyway. I took a sip of my drink to rinse the taste from my mouth. Too much batter. I'd be doing her a disservice, I thought to myself. This is the kind of cookie Natsuki would turn her cute little nose away from in disgust. I almost dropped my fork. Natsuki! Jesus, how the hell could I forget? She was coming over tomorrow to bake for the festival. I started to get a crap ton of supplies she wanted, and that would take at least half the day to do. Internally, I laughed. I can't even get pancakes taste good, and here I am going to bake cupcakes for a whole school. I swiped up my plate and dumped the rest in the trash. Putting the plate in the sink. I hustled up the stairs. I snatched up my phone and tapped back to my last chat with Natsuki. She had sent me a carefully typed out list of various supplies, with the shop name of where to get them and their prices. I scrolled through it again, reading each one. I glanced at my solid black laptop sitting on my desk. The screen closed. The charger port hung off the edge of the desk, the outlet plugged in. Quickly, I sat down at my chair and propped it open and started to type. I stepped out in front of my wall-to-wall mirror, inspected my wardrobe. My hair was combed back into the side slightly, touched in plate with a dab of gel and a spritz of hairspray. I was wearing a sleek, pressed black sweater with a white collar shirt underneath, with a pair of loose-fit jeans and brown dress shoes to match. I adjusted the sunglasses hanging from my collar. A very professional look, even if it's kind of going overboard. After all, I'm just going grocery shopping. Then again, if I do run into somebody, I want to look good, no? I glanced down my phone, checking my Maps app. Maps app. I'll shut up. Anyway, a 5-minute walk to the train station, then a 40-ish minute train ride to Tokyo. I rushed down into the kitchen and opened up the pantry. I snatched up 2 neatly folded woven bags tucked away and slammed the door shut. I grabbed my spare key off the table, opened the door, took a parting glance around the living area, and left. The time was 1:45. Ooh, hello! I think this is the first time I've seen this background. Very interesting. Anyway, the air was very cold, maybe 65 degrees, with light breezes, the sky still clinging to a hazy overcast. The streets were relatively empty, with a few cars whistling on by, a few odd personas walking up and down the streets. I paused, feeling the wind blow against my cheeks, smiling. I tore my house key on my finger for a moment, poking down to my belt loop. I dug out my headphones and started my walk. Today's going to be a good day. I can feel it. The walk was a very brisk one, but pleasant. I passed by a few local shops just opening up for the day, nodded and kept on. Bus stop was sparsely populated, but only a bushy, bearded man looked like an American in a brown suit and an elder woman with a foldable grocery basket waiting at the benches. I took a spot at the empty bench the furthest away and returned to my music. This is interesting as well. The train silently pulled into the main station hub. When it clicked to a stop, the train became alive. Everyone tried to get out at once. I waited for most people to leave before exiting myself. The station was swarming with people moving about the little stores headed out of the station into the city. I unplugged my headphones, paying more attention to my surroundings. This is interesting as well. I mingled with the crowd, my empty bags clutched in my hand. I reached the main plaza where about a dozen people were enjoying their brunches. Metal tables and benches were spread out, a large water fountain crowding the center. I took a spot at an empty table, pulling out my phone. I looked at Natsuki's list. The first store was a few blocks away and was due to open in a few minutes. I clicked my tongue. Should have taken a later train. Yet there's nothing else to do but wait. Three hours later, both of my bags were stuffed to the brim. Natsuki's list had sent me running all over downtown, going to some of the most obscure shops that I could have imagined someone like Natsuki going to. I did strike up a conversation with one of the shopkeepers, and an elder man who, as shown in his tinted aging clothes, hung up behind his counter, fought in the war. He immediately brightened when I mentioned Natsuki had sent me. Ah, Natsuki, such a sweet girl. She has a keen eye for the best ingredients. I take you're her boyfriend? He told me, taking a spot at a stool at the counter. I felt myself blush. No, just a friend of hers. I awkwardly adjusted the bags in my hand. He seemed surprised. Really? Handsome fellow like yourself? You look like a type. I laughed, trying to swing away from the topic. I can assure you it's not like that. We're making snacks for school tomorrow together, and she told me to get the batter she needs here. The man smiled. A girl like her knows where to find the best. I've been in this business since after the war, when the Americans came in and rebuilt Tokyo from the ground up. He got up, going to his back room, still talking. I value myself and my products. It's like a little piece of me. I always get up in the morning and head down to the market with first picks. I can hear shuffling, a box falling. Only the most brilliant and observant of eyes know where to find the freshest, the sweetest, best of the best. Keen eyes, that girl. As he talked, I took a moment to look more at the photos hanging up. In one, I could see a group of men sitting down at a makeshift table in war setting, the imperial flag of Japan hanging behind them. I squinted to read the date. August 1943. They all had bright, white smiles, holding their MREs up for the camera to photograph. True camaraderie and brotherhood. Even if they were fighting for the wrong reasons, and they end up losing the war for a year or so later. I wonder how many in that photo lived to see the day. He returned, holding another box of the batter I bought. He sets it down on the counter and slides it my way. It's free. Tell her I said hello. It was not too much trouble. I thanked him with a bow, took the box, and left. Interesting. I left the shop and started walking. By now the sun had broken up most of the overcast. The clouds offered no protection from the midday heat. Several blocks away, the red-white Tokyo Tower loomed, the structure glimmering in the sun's rays. The foot traffic was intense, as I had to squeeze my way through the crowds of businessmen and women, probably on their lunch breaks. It's always lunch breaks. I reached a small market square, with rows and rows of trader booths and stands behind the gated entrance. A small water fountain with a spherical gold statue marked the entrance, encircled by benches. I sat down at one, setting my bags at my feet. I took a moment to catch my breath and took out my phone. I scrolled to the Maps app. That still rhymes, by the way. Refreshed it. The next train back to Ichikiwa wasn't due for another half hour. I sighed, slowly put my phone away. I dug into my bag and grabbed my unopened ramen soda bottle, popped the top, took a long swig. My eyes glazed around, eyeing the market. People were huddled around various booths, inspecting the foods and products the vendors had to offer. Fresh fish, ripe fruits, knickknacks for the rich foreigners, the works. Farther inside, I could hear lively music. It sounded like a band and not just a recording. I shifted in my seat. I looked around more. Various buildings surrounded me. My eyes fell upon a small bookstore, the glass door propped open. Some people were sitting at the shaded tables outside of the entrance, gated off. Underneath the green-white Junichiro bookshop / amenities sign was a more crudely printed new shipments banner in Japanese. Through the window, I could see a cluster of people standing around, unmoving. From here, I couldn't tell what they were doing. I only saw their upper bodies. I watched the activity in the window with vague interest. I checked the time again. I guess I could browse around, I thought, standing up and grabbing my bags. How convenient this is, thinking about it more. After finishing My Hero Academia so far, I was interested in checking out the manga that came before it and seeing how it stacks up to the show. The new shipment sign gave me an inkling of hope they might have in stock. If not, I could always look at some other series they have. Either way, it would at least kill about a half hour. I gathered my things and made my way across the street. I stepped into the store, which was very homely in tone. Several rows of wood bookshelves stretched all the way to the back of the store. A step-up counter was to the left of the door with a smaller bookshelf behind it. Various posters of treasured Japanese literature as well as some classical art hung up around the walls. The air was pleasant and slightly cool, with a distinguished smell of cherries. In the very back, I could see about 10 or so people huddled around a low table draped with a white sheet, with an older woman sitting behind it, dressed formally. A short stand was next to her, with a poster board of a book cover depicting flames rising from a darkly outlined mountain. Through the smoke, I could see the silhouette of some sort of kaiju, like King Ghidorah or something. Sorry if I couldn't say that name right. The date of release was June 2019, next year. Asusa Sasaki was her name. An author, I thought absent-mindedly. Must be a meet and greet. I wandered to the near back of the store, still holding my bags. My eyes followed the check marks organizing various genres. Sure enough, there was a sold selection of manga resting on a shelf in new condition. I bent down, scanned the titles. My Hero... Aha! My finger touched the paperback set of the show, volumes 1 through 12. I carefully slid it from its spot and carried it with my free hand, the other 2 bags hanging from my other arm. I walked up to the counter holding the book in my hand. I slid it onto the counter and started pulling out some yen bills from my wallet. The woman behind the counter was fairly young, maybe a year or so older than me, with her hair tied into 2 braids resting on her chest. She quietly took my money and handed me a receipt. I started to head out the door, but my eyes turned to the group of people near the back. Curiosity got the better of me. I started to walk over to the congregation. I slowly crept up behind the group of people. Mr. Saki was holding a book that would look like the same cover on the poster board stand. She was reading aloud.
Maybe you could hear the subjects. Emily's footsteps as it slowly strode around. She drew a gun close, checking the loadout. Still a few rounds left, but not like it mattered. Yards away, she could hear the deep shuffling sound, like a horse or a pig. Claws scratched across the metal floor. She could hear the animal's deep breaths, the beast's ribcage rising and falling. It was searching for her, she realized. She shut her eyes, desperately fighting off the rising sensation of fear in her gut. She drew in long, slow breaths. Her hands felt slimy against the cold metal butt of her pistol. She couldn't stop her hands from trembling. God help her! God help her! God help her! With her free hands, she felt for the canine pill in her wrist patch.
She gently set the book down, face up. There was a round of applause when I joined in with. Mr. Saki stood up and started to gather her things, effectively ending the read aloud. The group seemed to mostly disperse, a few going to ask her for an autograph. I was about to leave when something caught my eye. I stopped. There she was. Her flowing violet hair going down her back, free of her school uniform, faced away from me, ruffling through her knitted book sack. Wait. Is this Yuri? Yeah, it's Yuri! Yuri? Whoa! Hello! I was not expecting that look from Yuri. She turned to me, taking it back. She was wearing a neatly pressed white button-up shirt, which, may I add, did wonders in showing off her mature figure. A brown belt held up her slim black hands, and her hair was combed behind her shoulders. She was wearing a pair of slightly thick, rounded black reading glasses, matching her stylish black boots.
Sonny X, what a surprise!
She tucked some of her hair back behind her ear, faced and washed with blush. She clearly wasn't expected to run into anyone from school. I smiled. It's great to see you, Yuri. Let me just say, you have a lovely outfit on. I wasn't being phony. She looked drop-dead gorgeous in her outfit. Yuri blushed, slightly turning her face away. Hand up to her cheek to hide her blush.
Oh, thank you. It's in for my school wardrobe, isn't it?
She awkwardly laughed. I nodded. It looks great on you. I love the glasses, I said, tapping my temple. She smiled in return.
What brings you here, Sonny X? What brings you here, Sonny X? I never expected to see you in a bookstore. Not that I'm implying that you're dumb or anything. I just... I
waved my hand slightly. Nah, I know what you mean. I was just in the neighborhood because I was shopping for some baking stuff Natsuki needed for tomorrow. She smiled slightly.
Oh, how considerate of you. Maka told me that not to worry about bringing supplies over to her home, so I don't need to worry about that.
That's cool. I lifted my bag slightly. I just finished my shopping and decided to pop in here to browse around. I tried to conceal the bag holding the My Hero Academia manga behind the other two, but I'm pretty sure Yuri saw it anyway. Ah, hell, why am I even hiding it anyway? I don't know. I remember telling her that I read mostly manga on my that I read mostly manga on my first day at the club, which was almost a week ago. Wow, time flies. Think. A week ago, I had no interest in joining a club on my own merits, and here I am about to bake snacks for one. I glanced over at Miss Sasaki, busy talking to a trio of Japanese schoolboys, looked like fourth years, slightly nodding as she spoke, showing complete respect. May I ask what brought you here? I said, turning back to Yuri. Yuri smiled.
Oh, I was just here to attend a meet and greet with the portrait of Mark of Arthur. You recall, the book I talked about in one of our first meetings?
Ah, right. That twisted Nazi torture novel or whatever. That cover on the poster there definitely fell in tune with that sort of flavor of writing, especially with that haunting little script I heard a few lines on. I nodded. Yes, I remember. Yuri smiled brighter, excited almost.
It was wonderful. I got my original copy of Margaret signed and managed to win a pre-order ticket for her next book, Subject DX, and a raffle contest. That is a prequel to one of her earlier works, which I've heard is similar in tone to Margaret. It's another book I've been postponing on reading until I finish rereading Margaret.
I smiled, listening to her talk. Yuri was enveloped in her books, entranced almost. It was pleasant to hear her so eagerly talk about something she clearly loves and cares about. It's a heavy change of pace from the persona I know from the literature club, usually so shy and timid unless otherwise revealed. Even if I knew next to nothing about Miss Sasaki's works, I still love hearing Yuri talk too animatedly about it anyway. She stopped herself and blushed again.
I'm sorry, Son X. You probably don't want to hear me ramble.
She glanced away, watched in embarrassment. I shook my head no. Absolutely not! I love hearing you talk about things you're interested in. Don't think I don't.
You really mean that, Son X?
Absolutely. Yuri's face saddened with a trace of disbelief lingering in her expressions.
Forgive me, but it's just... in my adolescent sense, I was always shunned for having such a deep interest in literature like Margaret. I was told to keep it to myself or at home. Hearing you say that is...
She tore the strand of her hair.
Enlightening.
When I was looking up on my next train ride back, I noticed that there was a coffee shop just a block or so away from the market. At least, I think it was a coffee shop. Hopefully it was open by now. Well, consider this a little sudden, but if you have a moment, would you like to join me for a drink? I know a coffee shop not very far from here. You can tell me more about some of the other places Miss Sasaki has written. You can tell me more about some of the other pieces Miss Sasaki has written, if you like. Yuri seemed taken aback.
Really? Are you sure?
I shrugged slightly. Sure, I'll pay for your drink, if you want. I don't mind. Yuri blushed feverishly.
Oh, there's no need for that. I could pay on my own.
She paused.
And yes, if you'd like to, I would be more than happy to join you for a moment.
She adjusted the book sack in her hand.
There's a lot I want to tell you about.
She started to move to the door and I followed her. Really? I opened the door for her. Like what? Hello! This is interesting. And do I see the Starbucks coffee logo? I do, don't I? Anyway. No way!
Yes way, Sonny X.
How? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, it would make sense if you read it.
You and I was seated beneath the shaded table outside the coffee shop I saw earlier. Thankfully, it was open by this time of day, sparsely populated with mostly young faces, students and aspiring writers it seemed. We took a spot outside the foyer, and a couple blocks away, the Tokyo Tower loomed. From my seat, I had a perfect view of the tower rising up over 1,000 feet into the sky, towering above the street. I took a moment to take a bite of my apple fritter, glazed to perfection. Yuri sipped her steaming coffee, brewed heavy with milk and a dash of cinnamon shavings.
The way Sasaki explains it is that the genetic coding of the subject has the ability to quickly self-heal, even for large open wounds like gunfire or ATX, etc. During the story, it's able to take on military life, fire and emerge just fine in the end, even with direct hits to core regions of the body. The ability is the ultimate key to its survival, and how it eludes the hunters for so long.
So what? It's basically indestructible? How do you even kill it?
I shouldn't spoil it for you.
I set my apple fritter down and looked up at her. Oh come on, Yuri, just a little bit. Yuri playfully folded her arms, almost defiant.
No, Sonny X, go ahead and read the book, and maybe you'll learn how they kill it. Which they eventually do.
I waved my hands in almost a defensive posture. Okay, I'll order a copy when I get home. You've convinced me. I lightly laughed. We fell silent for a moment. Cars honked and sped down the busy street. A trio of people sitting at the table next to us started to get up and leave. Yuri spoke.
So, how are you enjoying the Literature Club, Sonny X?
I nodded. It's been great! I'll admit, I didn't have high hopes with me being in the club at first, but I'm pleased to say I'm loving it. All of you have been really sweet and nice to me, and I feel at home with all of you. We all. Forgive me if I haven't said it yet, but thank you for being so warm to me.
Oh, it is my pleasure. It's good you feel comfortable with us. I know Monica was especially worried that you might be intimidated by us. It's silly, I know, but, well, you are the only boy in our club so far.
Yeah. I adjusted the cup of my dish. Well, maybe that'll change when we present for the festival, right? Yuri seemed to draw back when I said that.
Sonny X, may I be honest?
I nodded. Sure. What's wrong? Yuri traced the rim of her coffee cup with her fingers, just like she did the day I first met her.
Well, don't you enjoy the Literature Club the way it is currently? We're all small, but closely knit.
I thought about it for a moment. It's certainly nice to be in such a small club. It feels more homely, but certainly Manga is hoping her presentation for the festival is going to draw in more members. If she wants to be able to compete and be on the level of the others, much more popular clubs, she's gonna want all the people she can find to join. As for me personally, well, it certainly wouldn't hurt to have like 1 or 2 new members. Not a whole lot, but a fresh few faces. What makes you ask? Yuri nervously adjusted her plate.
Well,
The idea to present at the festival wasn't my idea. Manga started it, and I was voted out 3-1 by the others. That was a while before you joined. Really? I say surprise. Why did you say no? Yuri glances away. I just like the club the way it is. How small it is, I mean. I'm not pleased with the idea of being a lot of people I don't know joining a club if I find a lot of happiness in. I just don't want that ruined. She glanced away again. Forgive me, I must seem so rude. I shook my head. No, it's completely understandable. You want to keep things the same. Not wanting change is natural. I pause. Well, I don't want to seem negative, but I don't think you should worry about there being a line of people wanting to join the club after the festival. Yuri gave me a look. What makes you say that? My mind reeled back to my second day with the club, seeing the sign-up sheet hanging up next to the bulletin board with a row of empty name slots stretching down the end of the paper. Even so, it would be so rude to flat out say nobody likes literature the way the club does, especially to someone like Yuri. I reworded it. Well, we do have a lot of competition. There's the Computer Engineering Club, the Culinary Arts, Political Discussion, the Anime Club, Theater Arts. Yuri nodded. Yes, there's a lot of other, much more established clubs out there. We only just formed a literature club a month ago. Some of the clubs have been here since before we even started year 1. And they have budgets and fundraisers and sponsors and... Yuri trailed off. Perhaps you are right, Side X. She took a sip of her coffee. Maybe I am worrying for nothing. Chances are we may just be overlooked by other students in favor of more popular clubs. Didn't Manga say that she was going to perform a song at the festival? Yuri's face lightened, trying to recall. Yes, she was supposed to. I remember Sayuri getting excited like she usually does when Manga accidentally revealed it. My heart stung upon hearing mention of Sayuri. I wonder what she's doing right now. Anything to keep the mind off of her constant negative feelings. Has Maka said anything about it since? Yuri nodded. She mentioned that she wants to play the song for me tomorrow, so I can give her a critique on it. I paused thoughtfully. That's sweet of her. You have to tell me how it sounds. I bet it would be great. Yuri smiled, a trace of red on her cheeks. Well, when Marga's the one behind it, you know it would be something beautiful. Another pause. What about you and Natsuki, Sanyex? I glanced up from my cup of coffee. Well, out of everyone else in the club, you two seem to be getting along the best. I could feel a heart rising to my cheek. I could feel a heat rising to my cheeks. Don't take it the wrong way. It just meant you two have become friends, I take it. I swallowed. Yeah, I think so. We get along pretty well. Yuri smiled. That's good. I see you got her a gift. I glanced up from my coffee cup. Yuri glanced down under the table and pointed directly to the bag containing the My Hero Academia manga set. The manga you bought at the bookstore. Isn't that a gift for her? So she did notice, I thought to myself. I set the cup back down. Well, it was something I actually bought for myself. I said shakily.
I see. What series is it?
My Hero Academia. I don't think you ever heard of it.
Actually, I think I have.
Yuri ran her finger along the edge of a cup.
It's about, superheroes, right?
Kinda. I shifted in my seat. It's a world where the majority of the population has a quirk or a type of superhuman trait. Say, telekinesis or flight. The story follows this one boy, Midoriya Itsuku, who was born without a quirk but adopts one from a famous hero and goes on to join a school for aspiring heroes. It's a good combination of slices of life, adventure, and fantasy. Yuri nodded silently, soaking in my every word. I think it's really good. It's not about horror, but I think you'll enjoy it.
Does Natsuki like it?
Yuri said, almost cutting me off. I paused. I'm not sure. She's probably heard of it at least. I only know she's into perfect girls, which is pretty different from my hero. Yuri said nothing. You could ask her if she's heard of it. At this, Yuri blushed.
No, I couldn't.
Why not? Yuri looks ashamed.
I don't think Natsuki would want me to bug her.
What? Why? I said, puzzled. In the time I've known her, Natsuki never really showed any ill feelings to Yuri, at least that I'm aware of. Unless that isn't the case? Yuri continued.
I think it's because of how different we are, as people and as writers. You know how she is very light with words, whereas I prefer to be very heavy? When we shared our poems, we slightly go back and forth on writing styles. I always defend my idea that, the majority of the time, being vivid with your words is a more satisfying means of writing, which she rebuts with the concept of less is more. I'm not dismissing her, but I still defend my arguments.
She glanced away.
Still, I think she doesn't like me. She probably thinks I'm trying to talk down to her, which I would never do. Considering how smart she is, she's probably dealt with people being so condescending to her for her whole life. As a fellow writer and fellow club member, I still respect her despite our differences, but I don't think she knows that.
Yuri's deep, soothing voice chipped on that last line. A silence followed. I really don't think that's the case, Yuri. She's never told me anything bad about you to me before. Whenever she's mentioned you, it's always been in a good way. And she isn't the type of person to hate criticism for just forgetting it. If anything, she probably wants to learn from you to help improve herself as a writer. Yuri sat silently for a moment.
I don't know how she does it.
I blinked. Sorry?
How can she be so confident in herself? With her baking, her manga, her writing, I can never reach for that sort of self-loving even if I try. What I find so hard to open up and discuss my writing, unless otherwise, she eagerly shows it off and has a sense of pride over it I just can't find. How could she be like that?
I didn't have an immediate response. Well, I'm not sure how to answer that, Yuri. She made a slight wave.
It's okay. It was just a dumb question anyway.
Maybe you should ask her?
What?
Yeah, well, first actually message her. Start off with manga and say we're interested. And say start off with manga and say we're interested in it. And you wanted a recommendation. That's sure to get her target.
But what if
But when she says she doesn't want to talk to me, when I find that my worst fears are true? I shifted in my seat and looked Yuri in the eyes. I can almost assure you that won't happen. Natsuki doesn't hate you. Trust me. She's a lot nicer than you think. And I bet she wants to talk to you as well. Maybe she even has the same sentiments that you have for her. You never know until you try to reach out. I took a last bite from my apple fritter. You should try to and see what happens. Then build up from there. It's like that old saying, the greatest adventures began with a single step, and here is your first step. Yuri looked ready to tear up. I hope she didn't. Thank you, Sonny X. I appreciate your words a lot. If I get a chance, I'll try to mention her later today. I smiled. Let me know how that goes. Yuri cleared her throat. So, tell me more about this Midoriya Izuku character, if you don't mind. Where did he get that quirk from? Another hour passed, and Yuri and I continued to talk about My Hero Academia. I eagerly filled her in with the basic plot, the antagonist, and where you can watch it. I recommended a few streaming sites. After that, I told her about a couple of more manga series and their adaptations she might like. She listened patiently, asking a bunch of questions about the plots and characters. She seemed very interested to know about what kind of series Natsuki liked, but all I told her was, to her slight dismay, that she'd have to ask for herself. Soon she got a call and told me that she had to return home. Quite understandable, it was starting to grow dark. I carefully took out table trash and dumped it, and said my goodbyes to her. I reaffirmed my promise to buy the books she so eagerly told me about. Hopefully it doesn't cost too much, and started to head out. I glanced down at my phone, seeing there were a few texts in the literature club chat. I opened it up. Monica.
Don't forget everyone's test for tomorrow, Yuri. Yuri, you're free to come over anytime you want. You already have my address. Just text before you show up. X, did you get the stuff I needed?
I quickly typed. Yeah, just spent all day getting them, FYI. You're welcome, LOL. Text me and I'll show you what I managed to find. I clicked my phone off and shoved it in my pocket. I paused for a moment to retrieve my headphones, untangle them, and plug them into my phone. Up above, I could hear the silent whoop 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 of a passing helicopter. Night was beginning to set, the eco-friendly streetlights gently flickering on. Waving a final goodbye to Yuri, standing by the street's edge waiting for a taxicab, I turned to walk across the street back to the train station. Huh? I've unlocked a special poem. Let's see what this is about. Huh? What's this? I'm sorry. I let you all down. I've been nothing but a burden to the club, to my friends, to my family, to life itself. You can't imagine the endless pain I go through every day, knowing how truly worthless I am, a failure to society, to my school, to my loved ones. The crushing feeling that that no matter how hard you try or what you do in life, you will never truly mean anything to anyone. I just can't take it anymore. Oh man, I just seen the bottom of this. Monica, I'm sorry. I let you down as a vice president and as a friend. You must feel so ashamed to know me, but I hope this will this will free you in some way. Yuri, you're one of the smartest people I've ever met. Even if I didn't understand your words sometimes, still love hearing you talk. I know you're going to be a really good writer one day. I just wish I could be around to read them. Natsuki, you've always been such a sweet and nice person to me, and thank you for always making me treats, which are some of the best I've ever had. Thanks for being my best friend. To the person reading this, you've always been my dearest friend, and I thank you for that. I'm sorry for always holding you back and stressing you out over keeping me happy. Thank you for everything, Mom and Dad. You don't have to worry about me anymore. You can live your lives happily and not spend every aching minute stressing out over your damaged, artful daughter. It's okay. You don't have to worry about me anymore. Finally, the sunshine will make the rain clouds go away. Thank you all for everything you did for me. But I'm giving up. Love, Sayuri Ahsoka. Oh man. This is not good. I don't want to stop, but I'm gonna stop here, Hedgehog Maniacs. Why did it have to end like that? I mean, it was nice talking. It was nice spending time with Yuri, but why does it have to be like this? SonDX17 signing out. I'll catch you guys in the next video. See you later, everybody. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and let me know down below what you think. Also, if you want to see more of my content, hit that subscribe button and check out what you see here on the screen. Can you stop doing that pose, Monica?